The critics of Christian nationalism, most of them aren't careful to make this kind of distinction. And the proponents of Christian nationalism, a lot of them aren't careful to make this kind of distinction either. Like in a lot of cases, you have people who haven't thought, who don't realize that there is a distinction, and you have to ask them questions before you clarify. Because a lot of people who would call themselves Christian nationalists, for the first reason, because they like living in a Christian nation that has Christian morality in the hearts and minds of the people, so that it comes out naturally in the way they act and the way the laws get made and the way the court decisions get made without anybody having to legislate it. If you start asking them, okay, so what church should be the official church of America if we were going to be a Christian nationalist entity? What church should be the official church? They would start backpedaling real quick, and they would say, I don't want this specific church. But those are the details that you have to think through if you're actually going to do like a top-down, we are going to make this place Christian kind of. And that's not something unknown in history. I mean, that's how all of Europe was, basically between the late Roman Empire and the Enlightenment. And we still have state churches in Europe, in European countries that are very non-Christian. They still have state churches. Right, and so like this is not some kind of hobgoblin, who would ever do that? Like this is a real thing, and somebody with a historical awareness, when you say Christian nationalism, that's what they're thinking about. But yeah, the critics are going to be just as sloppy and maybe sloppier with the terms than the proponents, and they're going to mean like, okay, if the Supreme Court strikes down Roe v. Wade, to a lot of them, that's going to be Christian nationalism, because there's some kind of a moral standard that's lying behind that legal reasoning. There's a moral standard lying behind that legal reasoning that they identify as explicitly Christian. And it's incorrect. Like they're wrong to identify it as explicitly Christian. Because the rationale for outlawing abortion can be made without any sort of appeal to biblical revelation, and it's something that you can find in other religions too, and it's something you can find in no religion at all. It's just good common sense moral reasoning. What kind of is a fetus alive? Well, yeah. Well, what kind of life is it? Well, it's not a dog. It's not a protozoan, it's a human. Like that's what it's definitely going to turn into if nothing goes wrong. And so that's what it is now too. It's just in the early stages, like it is human life. But a lot of them are going to bellyache about Christian nationalism and about a theocracy and about the Handmaid's Tale and all kinds of nonsense like that, just from something as basic as enforcing that morality, the basic do not kill morality that's actually supposed to be recognized universally. And so for this reason, making the distinction that I'm making, it's not always the most practical thing to do, because on the proponent side then too, like given the lay of the land, given what we actually have in our country right now, anybody who actually tried to set up like some sort of you have to be a member in a Presbyterian church if you're going to hold office in this state, and anyone who tried to set something up like that, they wouldn't get far at all. Like almost nobody would support that. So given the current situation, what we are dealing with, people who are more informal Christian nationalists, and I just want a country that has Christian sensibility and a lot of Christians in it, like a majority Christian population determining the way people think about things. And the people who actually have a more specific program in mind that might require some kind of political revolution, like they actually can work together right now, because the second kind is so far from being doable.